Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and today we've got 9.2 data mined tier sets. I want to go over the tank ones with you. I'm not going to go over the DPS or the healer ones. You guys come here for tanking content, and that's what I'm going to provide. Some of these look very, very interesting, so I'm going to give my early thoughts and things like that. Now, please do note, this is data mined. Things are subject to change, so if you come back in 2 months and you're looking at this video, look at the date. They might still be accurate, they might be wrong. Who knows? But let's take an early look to see at least where they're intending on going with some of these tier sets for the tanks and how this could possibly shake up the meta and things like that. So before we get going, all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, help the algorithm, 700 subs, woo! Things like that. Big thank you to everybody for all of the support. Discord link down below if you want a nice, fun, positive community of tanks that are all willing to help each other, try and get better. If you're new to tanking, it's a great source of information. There's a lot of people on there that are just great sources of information. If you're looking for any weak auras or LVY profiles as well, there's a good, you can get all that down there. I stream on Twitch, link down in the doobly-doo below. Let's get all that out of the way now. It's out of the way, swept away. Let's take a look at what they're thinking. So, we are going to start with the Guardian Druid. So the 2 set, casting Bark Skin causes you to go berserk for 4 seconds. Okay, so notice how they did not put Incarnation here. And actually, if we do go over to Feral, they do put Incarnation here specifically. So what I'm thinking is because the talent of Incarn gives you a 30% HP boost every time it's used, and I think the reason why they're specifically going with the Berserk ability and not Incarn is to limit the HP boost, HP gain for 4 seconds that you would get from Bark Skin. Now, Bark Skin is already on a very low cooldown, so getting Berserk for 4 seconds is really strong because you can start a pack with Bark Skin and just start thrashing away for 4 seconds because Berserk does reduce the cooldown of Thrash, so you can, get... With the haste buff and everything, you should be able to get, 4 thrashes off at least. So you're going to not be struggling with early threat as much outside of Incarn. Very strong. While Berserk, you radiate 45% attack power, cosmic damage to nearby enemies, and you heal yourself for 61% of that attack power every 1 second. That's just straight up nice. That's an extra damage boost to a class that needed it. Honestly, because out of me and of all the tanks that I play, Guardian Druids overall is typically the least. Now they do have the 30-second Immortal button with Incarn, where damage is definitely not a problem. But this is going to help outside, because you can do outside of that, because you're going to be able to cast Bark Skin, and, I'm not saying that bear damage is terrible, it's just, it's not the best out of all of them. Single target's really, really good, but AoE overall... it's where you get that damage is from Berserk and Incarn, and getting that is very, very strong. But the key word to look at here with this set is Berserk, and if this interacts with Incarn. If it does interact with Incarn, getting a 30% HP boost every 34 seconds, 32 seconds, or whatever it is at right now, is gonna be insane. And it's gonna help with that immortality of bears. And then with the 4 set, just adding an extra damage up on top of that. Very, very strong. This is going to be something to look out for. Bears are only going to be getting better. Let's go over to Death Knights. This one here is very, very interesting. I like where they're going with it. So right now, the main legendary that all Blood Death Knights are playing, for the most part, is Super Strain. It's generally all around good in all content. It's boring. It applies all of the plagues and diseases from all of the specs to everybody, with your Blood Boil, the other 2 being at a reduced intensity. So yeah. Now, the 2 set. Heart Strike increases your strength by 1% and the duration of Dancing Rune Weapon by 0.5%, persisting 10 seconds after Dancing Rune Weapon ends. So the little caveat here is you need Dancing Rune Weapon to be able to get this strength bonus from Heart Strike. That's wonderful. This is where I think they're going with it. I think they want to see the Crimson Rune Weapon legendary being played more. I play with it now, but I'm not also pushing high keys on my Death Knight. I'm doing, 15, 16, 17s, and I'm having tons of fun with it. Like, it's my fun tank to go and play. Being able to get your cooldown for Dancing Rune Weapon down to 45 seconds, 50 seconds with the Crimson Rune Weapon Legendary, and then being able to extend this and get a big strength buff. Because, I mean, you already got Dancing Rune Weapon, and then you have a Conduit that increases the length of Dancing Rune Weapon, so you have a lot of time to build up these strength stacks while also extending Dancing Rune Weapon. This is gonna, I think it's gonna be very synergistic and very good with that legendary. Now, the 4 sets where this gets even better. Parrying an attack causes your weapon to lash out, hard striking your attacker, so gaining more runic power, and Dancing Rune Weapon now summons 2 rune weapons. You already get a great parry chance with Dancing Rune Weapon, bringing that down to 45 seconds to a minute cooldown in mostly Mythic Plus. I think it's like a minute 15, minute 30 in Raid. So I think Super Strain's still gonna see a little bit more play in Raid than Dancing Rune Weapon, but who knows? This could outbeat it. But having 2 rune weapons, so that's 2 rune weapons. Parrying, whenever you get a parry, does a heart strike on the attacker, which means you would also gain the 1% damage buff. So you have a chance whenever you parry to gain and use a heart strike to gain a 3% damage buff on strength. I'm really liking where they're going with this, and I think this is going to be a nice damage amp for Blood DK, which definitely needs it. I mean, they're definitely not the lowest on the totem pole, but their single target's kind of bad. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think in Mythic Plus, this is really going to boost the value of Crimson Rune Weapon in M+. But we're going to see where it goes with it. Up next, okay, Vengeance. Anybody who says they don't give Demon Hunters love can just F right off. They were, like, literally okay for a tier. And they were the go-to tank at the start of Mythic Plus, and then they became like okay. Like they're still, tank balance has never been better, so I'm definitely not saying they're bad, but they're just not the gods that they were. Okay, the 2 set damage dealt by Immolation Aura has a 10% chance to generate a lesser soul fragment. Okay, not too great, but it's nice to have. It's more soul fragments. Easier rune management, easier resource management, sorry. Now, this 4 set, consuming a lesser soul fragment has a 100% chance to grant you 2 seconds of Immolation Aura, or extend an existing Immolation Aura by 2 seconds. Come on. That's just wild. Just being able to get that uptick constantly is huge. This is a super good set, super synergetic with the kit, and if you're playing a Vengeance Demon Hunter right now, you're gonna have even more fun with it in 9.2 if this is what's released. Like, this is really good. Warrior. So, Prot Warrior. My love that I had to swap away from. So they're getting like a whole new mechanic here. So they're getting Outburst. So the two set is consuming 30 rage grants a stack of Outburst. Upon reaching 8 stacks of Outburst, your next Shield Slam or Thunderclap is 200% more effective, or your next Ignore Pain is 50% more effective. Now, this is probably something that you're not going to be wasting for Ignore Pain on, to tell you the truth. This is going to be a damage amp for you. You're going to want to use it on Thunderclap or Shield Slam. Shield Slam, obviously, for single target. Thunderclap for AoE. Now, Shield Slam is a big portion of my damage as a Prot Warrior in a key, with how often it resets. It's very, very strong single target. And Thunderclap isn't that much. You'd think because Thunderclap is hitting more targets, usually, that it would be higher up on my DPS meters. But it's not. Maybe this is going to be enough to give it a little bit more, enough of a boost to make it worthwhile. Like, Thunderclap is a good rage generator and a good threat generator, and really that's what you're pressing it for. Using this on Shield Slam might be the better way to go, and that's where I'm thinking you're going to see most of these Outburst stacks being used on. Although, if you're struggling with threat, a 200% Thunderclap, probably going to be pretty good for generating threat. So the 4 set, Avatar increases your damage dealt by an additional 10%, so that's 30%, and decreases damage taken by 10%. So, an Avatar instantly grants 8 stacks of Outburst. Now, right now in Mythic Plus, Heavy Repercussions has been seeing a lot of play for extending shield block. Anger Management is really good for DPS, gives you more avatar, brings it down to about 45 seconds if you're constantly going, and it lines up well with Ravager. Gaining those stacks of Outbursts is going to be a big DPS boost. We might be making a swap back to Anger Management in higher keys because it is a damage DR straight up, and it's going to be a damage increase with your Thunderclap and Shield Slam. So this is really, really interesting. I like it. I like what they're going, and I mean, you can like, all right. So you combine this with the Spear of Bastion, legendary Covenant legendary that we're going to be able to equip for 25% increased damage, critical strike damage. Sorry, I mean, I think Prot Warrior's DPS is already great in AoE, and it's only going to get better. This is an interesting mechanic, and I think it's going to be fun to play around with. Unfortunately, there's nothing to help the defensiveness of Prot Warrior with magic damage, and that's kind of what I was hoping I was going to see, because 10% is not enough in higher keys. Although it's 10% for, I think it's 20 seconds Avatar lasts, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at this. Prot War Avatar spell generates 20 rage. Let's go for 20 seconds. So a 10% damage DR for 20 seconds is strong. It's really, really good. Better than nothing. Where Prot Warrior, this just doesn't help any of the weaknesses of Prot Warrior, although it is strengthening what it's already good at. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Honestly, I could be sad about this, but I am not. Up next, let's take a look at the Brewmaster. Now, the 2-piece set here targets ignited by Breath of Fire, deal an additional 4% less damage to you. So, stacking damage reduction, which is nice. Although, Brewmaster's already pretty tanky. So, I don't see this being great. It's nice. It's definitely better than nothing. But it's still kind of blah. Breath of Fire empowers your next Tiger Palm or Blackout Kick and increases shuffle duration and brew cooldown reduction by 100%. Again, this is adding to the tankiness of the Brewmaster, which I already think is a very tanky tank spec. It really is. Now, I would like to see this empowered Tiger Balm or Blackout Kick also do increased damage. When it's empowered, I would like it to. Although the synergy between the brew cooldown reduction by 100%, this will most likely affect the Bone Dust Brew for the Necrolord. So we might be seeing a lot more Necrolord Brewmasters coming up in 9.2, especially in Mythic Plus, where you're going to be able to just have a large uptime on your Bone Dust Brew, which would be very, very strong and synergetic there. Just unfortunately with the other Covenants, there is no real synergy between the brew cooldown reduction. The shuffle duration is something that basically, if you're playing your spec right, you're constantly got that going anyway. So like it's good, but it's nothing that you're gonna like game changing. You're gonna have to work around. This I would like to see a damage amp too. Whenever you use your Breath of Fire, one of these happens, and maybe even add spinning Crane Kick for an extra damage amp in there. Whatever it is for Brewmaster, I think that would be a lot better. To me, this is still kind of blah, and I hope this gets reworked a little bit. But that's just me. And lastly, Paladin. 2-set. Casting Shield of the Righteous increases your block chance by 4% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So that gives you a total of 12% block chance additive all onto your already should be high enough block chance anyway, which is going to make you tankier right off the bat, because if you're not using Shield of the Righteous, why aren't you? So, and especially in Raid, most of the time you can use Readout for damage, but you can, if you're feeling like you're progging or you need to be better defensively, you're taking the Holy Shield ability, which gives you, I think it's like what, an extra 15%. Prot Pally, I think it's Holy Shield. We're gonna go with Holy Shield. Yeah, 15%, and you are able to block spells, and your successful blocks deal holy damage to your attackers. So that's going to work very, very well in Synergy in Raid. And as well, it's just going to be very nice to have defensively. So Holy Shield stocks are probably going to go up a little bit, but Blessed Hammer is a lot of fun. Now, the 4 set is where this gets fun. Blocking an attack has a 33% chance to cast Judgment at your attacker. There's no word on if there's an internal cooldown or something like on this. Like, is this just going to be every time you block you have this chance and it just spits out, like you could just spit out judgments in Mythic Plus? Really hoping that's what it is, because that's going to be a lot of fun. All in all, I like where this is going. We just need a little bit more information, but I think this is definitely in the right direction for Prot Pally. It's strengthening some of their weaknesses, because sometimes Prot Pally can feel a little squishy in higher keys and a lot more punishing. Because if you're not playing it perfectly, like it's not one of those tank specs where it's easy to bounce back from. If you screw up, you can get really hurt really fast. Although you do have a hell of a toolkit to help you bounce back. But if you don't have those things available to you at that right time, it can really, really hurt and you can get punished. Although if you're playing Prot Pally right, you're half unkillable, but that's to be. But being able to add adding this blocking attack chance, the Judgment, along with this 2 set works super well in synergy one another. Increases your will to hit Shield of the Righteous, which you should be doing all the time anyway, but just adds more onto what you're doing. And Shield of the Righteous has been a common complaint that it's strong, but it's not quite strong enough, because like Iron Fur, for example, for bears, you can stack it, right? You just a bunch. Versus Shield of the Righteous, it just extends the duration and it doesn't stack on armor. So this is really fun. I'm really, really excited to play with this and get that 4 set and have fun in Mythic Plus and Raid with this. So those are the tier sets for tanks. What do you think? What tank are you planning on maining now? Does this change your opinion for tanks from 9.2, that from what you're maining to swapping over or anything like that? I hope you guys are excited for 9.2 Shadowlands as much as I am. Have yourselves a great day. Have yourself a great weekend. And again, thank you so much for 700 subs.